Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Able Voices podcast. I'm Dr. Rhoda Bernard, founding managing director of the Berkeley Institute for Accessible Arts Education and the assistant chair of the music education department at Berkeley College of Music. And I am proud to present this podcast featuring disabled artists and arts educators. We are inviting artists with disabilities to be guest hosts for the Able Voices podcast. Today, you'll meet our next guest host, Carly Reigger. Reigger is a chronically ill and disabled artist, writer, curator, and advocate from Ann Arbor, Michigan. They utilize porcelain and installation artworks to express inner feelings and narratives of disability. Riegger has organized several important exhibitions for artists with disabilities through the National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts, including Crip Clay in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2023, and Outpour in Detroit, Michigan in 2026. Riegger is also the recipient of the 2024 Midwest Artists with Disabilities Award. They hold an MA in Disability Studies from the City University of New York and are currently pursuing an MFA in Studio Art from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Both Riegger's artwork and career goals involve disability inclusion and rights. They are working to expand how the arts communities work with artists with disabilities and how the disability communities utilize art to express complex disabled ideas.
All right, welcome back to Able Voices podcast. I am your guest host, Carr, and I have my last guest that I'm really excited to introduce, Amanda Barr. Amanda Barr is an artist, educator, and writer and activist, currently working as an adjunct professor in Iowa teaching ceramics and art history. In a former life, she was a Spanish professor. For an epileptic kid with HEDS and undiagnosed ADHD who wasn't supposed to finish high school, she's done all right. 3 master's degrees, shown art around the world, lived on 3 continents, and published in 2 languages. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi. Thank you.
It's awesome to have you here. So I would like to start out asking you, how did you start as an artist and how did you get to where you are today?
I had a really roundabout start as an artist. I grew up on a farm. My dad is a carpenter and he builds houses, but his specialty is fine woodworking. And both of my grandmothers are crafters. My maternal grandmother was a big crocheter, and my paternal grandmother loves rubber stamping and stationery type stuff. So I grew up crafting with all of them. I was always very good at that kind of stuff. So my dad worked with me a lot because I was a good helper and was obviously very interested in doing hands-on things. When I went to school, I had originally thought of going to theater and was talked out of it because, you can't make a living. So I went into Spanish and linguistics, got all the way into my master's program, and I got really, I don't think it's bored, but I got really antsy. I needed to use my hands. I needed to be doing something, and mostly I was reading books, looking at old books, typing things, and I was going a little stir crazy. So I took a 6-week summer ceramic class because it was there, it was available, and it looked the most outside of what I'd ever done before at just a local community arts center. And I was really terrible at it. I could not make anything. And I think that came down to my teacher was also still a student in undergrad and didn't really entirely know how to teach yet. She got better, but I was awful and I was very frustrated, and I was a really pretty stubborn person. And I was no, I'm going to figure this out. I know I can. I know I'm good at this kind of stuff, but why can't I do it? So I did that over the summer between my first and second year of grad school and just kind of kept doing it. I took another class, finished my thesis, got everything done to graduate there. And I had all this kind of free time while I was procrastinating writing my thesis. And spent a lot of that time in the studio, maybe trying to work through a lot of my thoughts using my hands, which helps a lot. And then I got a job after I graduated teaching at a community college, and I was teaching night classes. I had a lot of free time, again, like all this time during the day. So I actually ended up renting a little bit of studio space at a co-op. And I was making work, and I was just making work, and I was just trying to get better and experiment with things like surface decoration. And so I started, I want to say 2007, and by the time 2010 rolled around, I was going through a really bad divorce, and everything in my life had really fallen apart. It's a little personal, but my ex-husband left me for my maid of honor, and it absolutely exploded my whole friend group. Like, I was in a very bad situation. The only thing I really had that was stable for me was teaching, because I was good at that, and the studio, because I could go in there and I could feel comfortable and I liked what I was doing. So I just kind of threw myself into that even more, got accepted to a couple of shows that I said, why not throw myself out there? It got picked up by a couple of galleries, which absolutely blew my mind. And kind of the next thing I know, within a couple of years, I was almost full-time making art. And I never set out to do that because I never thought I could. I never thought it was a possibility to make a living that way. I'd been pretty well convinced by the world that I couldn't do it. And then suddenly I was. And it was working. I was doing it. It wasn't becoming a millionaire, but I was doing it, and it was like the thing that was holding my entire life together. Suddenly it was kind of the one positive, for sure, thing I had that was getting accolades. And so I kind of pivoted and eventually went and did residency, did a post-bac, went to graduate school again, and now I'm teaching. So I kind of full circled back into education, just something a little different.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. The part about how much ceramics kept you together. Because I feel like a lot of us, at least I've noticed, have a really strong connection to our medium in different ways. And next, I'd like to ask you about your experiences as a person with a disability, whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah. So I basically was diagnosed with my seizure disorder when I was about 5. So when I started school, and I lived in a very rural, small town in Missouri. There's a lot of stigma, especially around things like epilepsy. So I kind of fell back into books, and I was a real big reader, didn't have a lot of in-person friends. A lot of kids were told not to play with me because they might catch it. It's very, very country, very kind of backwards. So I think it's the fact that I did go into education and into art history and things like that makes sense, because I was a very big reader, still am, and dealt with the being told, you can't graduate because you missed so many classes and you have one tiny seizure. They kick you out for the day, even though I could have gone back. So my attendance was a really big problem. I was also just sick a lot. It turns out your immune system is not great. So I was out. I missed a lot of school, and it really affected my GPA, so it affected scholarships. So it's just been a lot of extra work. When I was an undergrad, one of the reasons I was originally going to go for a PhD in Spanish, and I didn't, as an undergrad, there was a professor who spent a lot of time being very abusive about my disability, there was I was on a study abroad with this professor, and there was a lot of making fun of me. If everyone remembers when Trump made fun of that disabled reporter, that is exactly what was done to me by this professor. But it was every day for 3 months straight. And I was called stupid, and I was called lazy, and everything under the sun. And reported it to the school. The school just said, well, they have tenure, so nothing we can do about it. We also kind of don't believe you because you're a student, and students are lazy. So ended up in a lawsuit, a whole thing, because the professor sued me for defamation, even though I had 14 witnesses, which ended up in me suing back, and it was this whole thing. And so that's why I didn't go further with that, which is, I think part of the reason I ended up in Spanish, but also part of the reason I ended up with pretty severe PTSD. And I don't think that helped my marriage any, because I had just finished all the lawsuits when I got married. So all of that kind of trickles in. And in around that same time is when I found out about the Ehlers-Danlos and was having trouble with my back and my other joints. And that didn't help any either. And so all of that, hasn't stopped me from doing anything, but it has definitely made it harder in a lot of spaces. I think the worst time I've ever had was in second grad school, when I was in grad school for art, and the pandemic hit. COVID first hit, and I'm there as the only disabled grad student. The school did not know what to do with me, and they kind of were so busy focusing on everything else that they just said, well, just forget about you. You deal with it yourself. Actually, honestly, could you just drop out? Because you're a really big hassle. Just leave. Could you just leave? It'd be so much easier for everyone. My department chair actually told me, well, you don't even need this degree. It's not like you're going to get a job. Disabled people don't work. To which I was like, hey, Kevin, I've been a professor for 10 years. I've been working. Obviously, I do work. I don't know where you got that idea, but definitely disabled people work. I know this is stressful for you guys, but it's a little more stressful for me. They weren't requiring masking at all in the graduate studios, which were open air. And so I was essentially there for a year where I couldn't even go into my studio. So there was a whole knockdown, drag out fight with the graduate studio to extend my thesis for another 6 months because I couldn't work on it. I couldn't go into the studio because no one was concerned with protecting me. They were more concerned with other students feeling comfortable in their own studios, being able to unmask and just be free. And we're in this global pandemic where people are dying every day, and other people, the people around me, are more concerned with their own discomfort than with keeping me alive, which was just rough. And didn't really help my mental health at all, aside from the staying inside, being alone all of the time. So I definitely took a huge toll on me, and I almost did quit, and I definitely almost said I don't want to do ceramics anymore because it's painful, and maybe I want to do something else. But I'll say I did get really great therapy. I started neurofeedback for about 6 months, and it helped a ton. And I did get back into clay, and then I got a job, which was that helped immensely. Having a job, being able to kind of throw 2 middle fingers up at the grad school and say, guess what? Employed. Disabled people do work, and we make good work. And we put on the Crypt Clay show at NCECA, and that definitely improved my outlook, seeing that people were not only there were other people, disabled artists, who were working and showing work and doing things, and also talking about it in front of that audience and saying, we're here and we do matter and you need to make space for us, and stop saying things like, you're not going to have a job, or you can't be an artist if you're disabled. So making sure to like step back and look at the big picture and talk to other people has definitely helped get me back into it and keep going, because there's definitely been some downsides.
Yeah. I think there's a lot that has been really important about bringing people together, especially just disability in the arts in general, and then especially in those smaller communities of different mediums like ceramics. And it's also like really helped me with my outlook too, and I think some others. So in those spaces, can you talk more about like how you learned in the arts and how you continue to learn in the arts today?
Yeah, I so much of my learning comes from students, because like I know my experiences, I know what I know, but so much more learning happens when, students have questions that I haven't encountered before, and we go on a journey of discovery together a lot of times. Or, I have a student right now who has a terrible essential tremor in his hands, but we're on a wheel throwing unit, and so we're making it work. And he's doing all right, like just figuring out adaptations that we can do, making it work. And I am trying really hard not to be someone who's like, no, you can't just can't do this. Like, it's not possible. Like, no, we're going to adapt. We're going to figure it out. And in making those adaptations, in answering random questions, I keep learning more about my own field and keep improving, I think, my own artistic practice, because everything that I learn new expands my knowledge, adds to what I can use in my practice, which is, I think, what we all should be doing our whole lives, is always learning. So yeah, it's the students. It's got to be the students.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I think it's kind of exciting to have those different like approaches like just kind of brought to you of like, how do I go about this? Because both of you, at least in my experience, like both people are trying to figure it out together. And in clay especially, that can be really an interesting experience.
Yeah,
Um,
there's always something to figure out.
but yeah. What advice would you give to other artists with disabilities?
I never want to say like don't let it stop you, because there are certain, like, I could never fly a fighter jet. Like, I think about the things like I can't be a pilot, and I'm okay with that. Like, I have a seizure disorder. There are things that I should not be doing. I always, I'm a little sad about not scuba diving, but that's my safety, and it's someone else's safety too, like the person who would have to rescue me. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, know what your limitations are, like understand your body, and like I'm never going to make very large sculptures because I can't lift them. Even if I had like a ton of help, it'd be dumb of me to even try to make things that I would have to manipulate my body in ways that it does not like to be manipulated. So I stick to, if I want to make a sculpture, I make small pieces, put them together. So like adapt how you work and what you make to your needs, so that you're not destroying yourself for your work. Because like I used to do shows like the street fairs and the Renegade craft festivals, and I was doing like a show every weekend. So I was putting up a booth and taking down a booth and like carting ceramics all over the country, and it was killing me. Like, I was exhausted. My body was wrecked because I was doing all this setup and tear down, and I had to stop because it was just not sustainable. but also I was making like 50 mugs a day, and both my wrists, I was in physical therapy for my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders. And when I stopped doing that and I went to school, I started teaching more. I don't have to wear braces. Like I don't have to wear KT tape on my wrists or my elbows anymore. I'm in and out of physical therapy still because I will be with EDS my whole life. But once I started making my practice more sustainable for my body, I'm a lot happier because I don't hurt as much. And it made the work better too because I wasn't forcing it. So like, don't push yourself to make work that doesn't suit who you are and what your disabilities are, because it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to keep you going. And eventually you're going to kind of resent it. Jurassic Park, find a way.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of ways like I've adapted my practice to suit that as well. And I think it just kind of personalizes like the practice even more to like you and yourself. And I think that's exciting.
Yeah, like I know I'm never going to work in a hot glass shop because I overheat super easy. And that makes me want to pass out just thinking about it. So I'm going to stick to like kiln casting if I want to do glass or stained glass. I can do stained glass all day.
Can you tell us about your current projects that you're working on?
Well, currently I've got 3 electric kilns that don't work in the kiln room. So that's what I have to tackle next. But yeah, actually, I have a little to-do list for myself of things I need to make. I'm doing a project with some folks I know from online. It's a fundraiser for Ramadan for people in Palestine, and so I'm doing a couple of like online courses. One's with PMC clay. We're just going to make little like kind of hanging decorations that are Ramadan themed. But I need to go get the PMC clay and then kind of mix it up and make the samples. And so I've just been sitting, like, kind of sketching, like, what are the cutouts gonna look like? And I don't use PMC clay very often, so I'm just kind of like, I'm a little bit hyped to work with a different material. And so these classes are like by donation, and folks can join. And then I'm also doing an advanced class for people who already know how to throw on the wheel, but it will be virtual, in making tagines, the Moroccan dish that you cook food in. So I need to make a sample one because I also want to show how you cook in it, but that means I need to make one. So I just need to get out some of the earthenware and throw it a tagine, and then actually ask someone for a recipe to cook in it, because I've never made Moroccan food before. I've eaten it. I've been to Morocco. I just need to make it and get the food in. But I'm pretty actually excited to do these classes and this fundraiser, because I've been pretty active in the Free Palestine movement for several years now, and it's exciting to, I can't, as a ceramic artist, like, there's not a whole lot that you can do, but like to volunteer to teach a few classes that can be donated. That's something that I can do that works really well. Yeah, and I want to make some mugs for this ceramic conference, so I just got to find time between classes to get those made.
Yeah. Oh, you have a lot of exciting stuff going on. Those classes sound super cool, and I've seen a lot of the things online that are like auction based or teaching based where it's donated, and I think that's just like, yeah, like one of the best ways like that 3D artists especially can like get involved. Yeah. It seems.
And I'm trying not to make anything too big because I'm actually moving in July. I got a tenure track position in New Mexico to teach ceramics and art history. This position was like perfect for me. It's in New Mexico, so they're very much Spanish speaker heavy. in there, and they wanted someone who could specifically teach Latin American and other like kind of Spanish language central classes. So I was kind of the perfect fit. I do teach Latin American art history, so I'm really, really excited. I'm trying not to make anything huge that I'm going to have to cart with me in July when I move, which is a ways away, but not so far away that I want to like make a bunch of work and then have to take it with me.
Yeah, that's so exciting. I'm really excited for you. I saw I think something about that on your social media. I think that's
Yeah,
super
to
awesome.
try not to like overshare about it because I'm not there yet, but it's kind of the perfect position for me. And I never thought I'd ever get a tenure track job just because I've adjuncted for like 20 years now. It's like, well, this is it. It's fine. I'll just be an artist and teach some, but here it is. Finally, the dream.
Yes, yeah. Can we know where to find your work online?
Yeah, the my work is mostly on my website, which may or may not have stuff in the shop at any given time. I think I have some mugs in my storefront right now, but if you just it's myname.com. So amandabarr.com will get you there. It's the nice thing about being an elder millennial is we jumped on those websites and the Gmail accounts that with our like just our name.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything crazy. So I'm pretty easy to find. If you run into a website that has like ceramic cigarette butts, that's the other Amanda Barr who does ceramics. She's in North Carolina. She makes a lot of things with like clay cigarette butts and ashtrays. And I haven't ever actually met her, but I get a lot of emails for her.
That's so funny. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today. And it was great to have you on. And I'm so excited to see where you go.
Thanks. And I've been watching your grad school work come along, and it's great.
Thank you. Finishing up this spring, so it's scary. And now I'm getting into the adjuncting side of things, and that's also a lot of work and scary.
Yeah, it's a hustle once you get out of school there.
Yeah.
But it's good. You'll learn so much your first couple years teaching. Like you can't make up for it with anything else. Like those first couple years are like you'll cry a lot, but like they make or break you.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Great. Thank you so much for being on with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for thinking of me.
Thank you so much for listening in to Able Voices podcast. This is Carly Carr Riegger. You can find me at Carly Riegger on Instagram or carlyriegger.com. And it was so great to be a guest host on this podcast. I'm so excited to have shared a lot of my friends with everyone. And thank you so much.
Able Voices is a production of the Berkeley Institute for Accessible Arts Education, led by me, Dr. Rhoda Bernard, the founding managing director. It is produced by Daniel Martinez del Campo. The intro music is by Kai Levin, and our closing song is by Sebastian Batista. Kai and Sebastian are students in the arts education programs at the Berkeley Institute for Accessible Arts Education. If you would like to learn more about our work, find us online at berkeley.edu/BIAAE or email us at BIAAE@berkeley, that's LEE.edu.